Hello, my name is Kevin Scritchfield, and I'm your instructor for Math 137, Mathematical Concepts 2. Uh, I'll introduce myself in another video later. I really just want to talk about the course and its content and so on in this video. And so, because it's Mathematical Concepts 2, or some people put it Math for Elementary Teachers Part 2, it is the higher math concepts that would be considered in the elementary school range, which some of these, well, with Common Core now, some of these more and more are coming down into the elementary ages and so on. And so most of the content that we're going to be talking about is algebra and geometry. And so because of that, your pace in this course is going to really depend on how much you remember about those concepts. And so some of you, it hasn't been very long since you've had algebra or geometry. Some of you, it's been a while. And so it's going to take more refresher for you to go through and perhaps watch more of the videos or do more of the refresher things that I have in the course and so on. But I have the course built to, as much as I possibly could, to make it to where maybe not you don't know anything about those concepts. You have to remember some of it. But really from the beginnings and basics of it. And so for many of you, you may not need to watch all of the videos, or you may need to just, check into the video and just see what it's about, make sure that you understand that concept, you remember how to do it, whatever it might be, and then go and do that homework assignment. And so that's really the pace, is if you can get through the homework assignments and, know the information to do that particular assignment each time. And so the pace and how quickly you can move through the course content and assignments and so on is really up to you. The videos are for you. If you need to pause them, replay them, review them again, whatever, that is definite advantage to being online. It's hard when you're in a face-to-face lecture, that when you go home and do the assignment, to ask the instructor to rewind and do the lecture again. But when you're learning online, you have these videos to where you can go back and check the video. You can pause it, rewind it, do whatever you need in order to make sure that you catch that concept in that video. Okay, some of the videos are me doing the particular lesson topic. Some of them are just videos that I found on the web because some of the concepts are, it's no use reinventing the wheel. There's only so many ways, really, so many ways in a video to explain how to add fractions together. Now, not necessarily in a classroom. If we were in a classroom, or when you're teaching in a classroom, there are a ton of activities that you can do to teach your kids how to add fractions. But in video format, it's a little bit more challenging. And so, and for the purposes of this class and how much content we have to cover in the 6 weeks that we're together, we just need a very specific video to show the details of how to do that type of problem and move on. And so there's really no reason for me to recreate things that are good, that are out there already. And so you just need to be aware that each week of the course, and we are, again, that is part of the problem. We have so much content to cover and just 6 weeks to do it. And that makes it tough. It really does. And so you just need to understand how each week works. And so each week there is a set of instructional videos. And so actually they're broken up by section of the chapter that we're in. And so each section has a video, and then it tells you to go do that assignment. And then a video, and then tells you to go do that assignment. And then there may be multiple videos, depending on the topic of that assignment. And then go do that assignment, and so on. So there's instructional videos and the homework assignments. Okay, and those are all in Wiley Plus. To get to those, there is a blue P up at the top of the Moodle, to where you click on that for every homework assignment, the midterm exam, and the final exam are all in Wiley Plus. And so you click on that blue P for every assignment that you do. Okay? Each week there is a constructed response discussion forum. So it's essentially a practice for the written part of the CSET. And so I believe these we only do it for 5 weeks. There's not one, I don't believe, in the final week. I should have checked that to be sure. But these 5 topics that we do as a constructed response, I think you're going to find them to be really good practice for the CSET. And our main concept that we're trying to get from you is, can you write about math? Can you explain the process? And really what you need to think about when you're taking the CSAT and when you're doing these discussion forums to practice for it is you're teaching whatever the question has to do with. You're teaching, think about that as you're writing what you're writing. You are teaching your students how to solve that particular problem. And so go through it step by step by step. Don't skip any steps. Make sure that you're very clear in your instructions, and make sure as much as you can to include reasons why you're doing that step. Okay? If you're using the quadratic formula, then say why you're using the quadratic formula. It's because it's a right triangle. Quadratic formula the Pythagorean's theorem is what I was thinking of. Pythagorean's theorem applies to right triangles. That's why we're using it, and so on. Okay? And so we just want to know that you can write about math. And really, again, all you're doing is explaining how to solve that problem. Okay? And then each week there's a lesson activity that you need to find. The instructions, all of these instructions, by the way, are in a document at the top, in the course information in the top of the Moodle shell. And those instructions are there for the lesson activities. But basically what I want you to do is go out and find what you think is a great activity dealing with the particular topic, one of the particular topics of that week. Okay? And you're going to post that as a PDF, must be a PDF, because at the end for your signature assignment, everybody has to be able to gather those, and they have to be in PDF format to gather them. And so whatever your activity might be, and you have to do something different each week. You can't do the same kind of thing every week, and that's explained in the instructions. So, all right? First 2 weeks are a little bit different. I'm forewarning you here. The first 2 weeks are probably the toughest, I think. Partly because there's a little bit more involved. The first week we have to make sure that you remember your algebra skills. And so I have several things in the Moodle shell there for explaining algebra to you. And I do teach algebra a little different way, and so you might want to go into those. Even though you think that you're good at algebra and so on, it might be a new way for you to teach some things when you get there. And so look those over. And there is an algebra assignment that you have to do. It's called the algebra packet. So technically, as long as you can do that algebra packet, then that satisfies that requirement in Chapter 9. But it would be good if you looked at some of the resources, just because they might be good resources for you when you go to teach some of those things. So, okay. Week 2 has to do with geometry, the basics of geometry and so on. And so geometry just has a ton of vocabulary in it. It's just the way it is. Math is a science, and all sciences have vocabulary that go with them. Geometry is kind of a specific branch of math, and it just has a ton of vocabulary. And so you just got to kind of go through those lists and make sure you know what some of those terms mean and so on. And just remember some geometry. And I know for a lot of you it was not necessarily your favorite class in high school. So you need to make sure that you go back and remember that, because geometry especially has worked its way down lower and lower and lower into the grades with Common Core. And so you have to know your geometry to be able to teach math in the elementary school anymore. So, okay. Beyond those weekly things, there is a midterm, a final exam, and a signature assignment. And the signature assignment is essentially collecting everybody's activities, lesson activities, from all the weeks and putting them in separate places in what is called a live binder. You don't have to use that tool, but that's a typical one to use. An online portfolio, and put them all in one place to be able to share that with me and have that as a resource for you later to come back to when you are teaching. All right? I'm looking forward to working with you guys. I hope it's a good class for you and a good 6 weeks, but it will be a tough 6 weeks. You just need to understand that. We have a lot of information to cover, so looking forward to working with you.